from Stonemaier Games, and you are listening to the Master of One podcast. You can find me at stonemeiergames.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Stonemaier Games.
Welcome to another episode of the Master of One podcast, the podcast that's virtually together, but in reality, we're miles apart. Part 1 this week, we talk about the big sick, Smallworld, and we get our hands on the Oculus Rift. I'm Andrew, your Master of Art and Design.
I'm Patrick, your Master of Television and Film.
And I'm Luke, your Master of Toys and Games.
So strap on your goggles and get ready to be blown away by another episode.
It made me uncomfortable. It just did.
We like to kick every episode off by going around the table, which is where we talk about something new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Patrick, you look happy to talk.
I have all of those things. So I actually saved a story I wanted to relay. But first, let me get the thing that we're all talking about out of the way, and that's Game of Thrones. That's right. Episode 1 of Season 7 has now aired. We stayed up last night. We had a feast prepared. We watched it, and it was, I think, great. I really enjoyed the episode. I heard someone describe it as slow. I don't think it was slow. I think that's just part of jumping into a new season. You kind of have to again, start setting up these putting these balls in motion, setting up these stories to start chasing down the rest of the season. And I think we got a lot of that.
You can't juggle until you get the balls in your hand.
That's
true.
I say that. I wake up every day, and I say that every morning.
He actually has that hand painted on his wall in Zapfino. It's beautiful. And it reminds me of an Italian restaurant.
Zapfino. That's nice. That's a deep cut. I like
That's
it.
right. I don't even know if is that still standard hardware? Is that or standard type?
Yeah,
okay.
It's still, yeah. You've not been out of the Mac kingdom for that long for you to have forgot. You've only been gone for like a few months.
Is that? I mean, I don't use it. I don't use computer fonts in my work.
No, duh. But I just mean like seeing it as you scroll through. I'm not like being a proponent of everybody who owns a Mac should be using Zapfino on a regular
what I'm saying is
you've said that on multiple occasions.
Sure, I'm just not making that argument now.
Right.
No, I'm just saying that I don't use programs that I scroll through fonts. That's what people deliver that to me.
I see what you're saying.
It's done by the time I get it.
This is the fonts to implement, Patrick. Good luck.
Yeah, and
they
it's
take all the
never
guesswork out of it for
Zappino,
you.
and it's never Zappino. So that's what
weird
happens.
that you're not doing a ton of like bleeding edge web design with Zappino as the main like title font.
Inconsistent line height in the characters for web use. That's what it is. Otherwise, we would. So anyway, Game of Thrones. So there's going to be no spoilers. We can't really talk about anything.
Speaking of inconsistent characters,
there was a cameo. There was a cameo that has bothered some people. The only thing I'm going to say about it is
it totally
turns out. No. It turns out. I love that you pre-marked yourself because you just knew you had to get that in.
Yep.
So I saw you reaching for the marker before
what the
you ever
audience
said
doesn't
it.
know is that Luke just said
Fred.
Yep, mark it. Okay. But I will say that's not the first time it's happened because I went and looked this up, and it turns out it was asked for back in 2012. So just saying that it isn't like some random brand new for season 7 and you should expect a lot more of it. This is actually, the request was in 2012. It has happened before.
Request from who?
From 12-year-old girls.
I'm trying not to say
from
gender.
From the person.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. They asked for it back 5 years ago.
Yeah, but why does it? I mean, okay. So,
but I agree with you because it was too relevant to the rest of the world, so it just felt like
pulled me out of the story completely.
Exactly, I think it did that to everybody. So again, that's it. I'm not going to say any more because it's too scary to like say a spoiler. There it is. Something happens. There you go.
There's been a lot of really good art surrounding, like anytime like something like this comes out, it's always fun to flip through your Instagram feed. Like I'm going to show up the guys on here. I'll send a link to Patrick and he can post it in the show notes. But look at those little playing cards that they did.
Those are cool.
Yeah, that's great.
It's the Hound and Arya. Is just great. It's great. I just love watching that stuff.
I love those Cleganes. Okay, the other thing, this is a story I want to relate. I actually heard this earlier this week, and I wanted to write it down. I don't know that this is going to be pertinent to any of you people listening, but I feel compelled to share it. So there's a guy named Jimmie Nicol. Have y'all heard of Jimmie Nicol? He's a drummer. He drummed for a very famous band. Ring a bell?
No.
The Beatles.
13 days. Yes, that is correct. So Andrew, you nailed it. Even if you were just being funny, Ringo got sick, and it was like the day before they were going to go on an Australian tour, and they needed someone to. Initially, they were talking about not going, and then
wait, what happened? Wasn't there another? Ringo wasn't the original drummer. It was Pete.
Correct.
Best.
There was another drummer. Correct.
William
Ringo wasn't
Hurst.
original,
but he wasn't the best. Oddly enough.
And the reason they didn't reach out to him is they said that
for you.
They said it would create too much confusion if they reached out to the original drummer, which is the reason they didn't reach out to him. But one of the managers had seen this guy playing recently, and he had just played on a record that was doing covers of popular music, and they had covered like 6 Beatles songs. And so they knew he already knew some of the arrangements.
It was the original. And, now that's called music.
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't, but in essence, it was that. And so what they did is there was some fighting back and forth, and they did decide to go on with the tour. They called this guy named Jimmie Nicol. The guy was a nobody. Within the span of 27 hours, I think, he was on stage playing his first gig. Like it was crazy. It was like they called him, come down and audition, and then bring your clothes with you because you're getting on an airplane and you're going to go play somewhere. So he was with them for, I think it was 13 days. When Ringo got back, everybody else was asleep, or like when Ringo had finally made it in town, he literally left without saying goodbye to anybody. He said he was a nobody before he played. He said the first time he got in a limo, everybody was fighting just to get a look at him. He went from a nobody to one of the biggest guys on the planet. And then he said as soon as it was over, because there's a picture of him sitting in an airport and he's totally by himself. And he said, as soon as it was over, I started dying as quickly as the headlines did. Ultimately, he said it was the worst thing to happen in his life. He said the Beatles treated him incredibly well. They paid him well. He would never do anything to step on their toes. The management was great to him. So he has nothing but kind things to say about the Beatles. But he said just the emotional act of going from he had a perfectly fine life to being a superstar to being a nobody in the flip of a switch. It was just too much of a toll. Within 7 months, he filed for bankruptcy, and many failed bands later, he finally fell out of music completely. And I think as recently as a few years ago...
Did you meet this guy at a 7-Eleven or something? How do you
know?
No. He's now currently greeting at Walmart in Chattanooga.
No, I'll post... His Wikipedia page will be in the show notes. But I think as recently as a few years ago, the guy's son said he didn't even know where he was. And it's just amazing that this guy played drums for the Beatles.
With your dad.
So...
There's plenty of those.
All of this being said, I think it's very interesting that when
My
the
dad's
guy...
not even alive. But you know that, Patrick.
I was trying to blow right past that topic because I knew it'd come up. Guys, Andrew's dad's dead for real. And it like, comes up a lot.
That's like the realest thing we've ever said on this show, beside the fact that Luke is obscenely lacking in hair on his chest. That is the only other thing
that is
more
as
true.
Real and true as, yeah. So, but I think it's interesting. The guy puts on Ringo's suit. He sits behind Ringo's kit. And he's a celebrity, superstar, top 10 people in the world, whatever. But the second he steps off that stage, he's a nobody. And I think it goes to show that copying someone else or trying to be someone else, trying to ride someone else's fame.
Or literally their coattails.
Literally inside their coattails, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's not real. So even if you're experiencing success doing that personally, if you're to detach yourself from that and it falls apart, then that's not you anyway. You're not driving that. So
Which is why I'm holding on for dear life to this podcast, because I know that I'm only as good as your guys' shadow that you cast upon me.
That's right. So anyway, very, very interesting. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of deeper points to take from the story. But it just, it just struck me. It struck a chord with me. It resonated on some level.
So wait, are you saying just be yourself and don't try and be anybody else and just be okay being you?
We see a lot of people that they copy someone else's work, or they attach themselves to a big property and they see success from doing that, and they think that's the only way to get success, and they feel like they have to keep doing that, and that they can't stop and try to pursue something original, because if they do, then that income stream is going to go away, or they aren't going to gain as many followers as quickly, or whatever it is. I mean, people, push and turn those knobs because they know that they can, and they know people will respond. I think one lesson to be gleaned from this is that it may feel like you're building something real, but the reality is all these people, all they're doing is placing stock back into this property that isn't yours, and they're not actually building anything with you. So even though doing your own stuff can be a grind, and maybe it doesn't get response, and maybe it fails, and maybe you do 10 different things, and 10 things fail, or 100 things, at the end of the day, if you work on something and people respond well to it, then I feel like that is, Paul McCartney, if he goes somewhere, even if he's separate of the Beatles, the dude's still going to get mobbed. I'm just talking Beatles because Beatles are still here. Jimmie Nicol's not going to, because people didn't care about Jimmie Nicol, they cared about the Beatles. And so be an original, be yourself, do your stuff, find people that care about the things that you do naturally, and not people that just care about the thing that you decide to latch yourself to because it makes you feel good because you suddenly got a boost of 20 extra followers. That's probably the biggest lesson I gleaned from it.
Can I make an observation, publicly? Sure. I'm thinking back on this now for the last several weeks. Something has transitioned for you in your, I don't know, maybe you're more exposed to things now or something.
30.
But, but your around the table stuff has shifted away from what has happened in your week, and has shifted more to be your mini platform for public service announcements. And I don't say that in a bad way, but have you noticed that? It's shifted to be a lot more there's always a takeaway from something, it's almost think time with Pat. And it's something that you've been thinking about for the week, and that you've been mulling over, and then you've come to some all that has an actionable step to it. Have you noticed that?
I would say the reason is because the community around, so all you guys listening, the community around M of One is awesome. And in interacting with these people, stop being listeners and start being friends, and fellow creatives and those type of things. And in that way, the way that I can contribute, I'm not an artist. I also can't afford to hire you to do something, or anything like that. So if the only way that I can contribute is by doing Think Time with Patrick, if that's the way that I can give back to all of my friends that are listening right now, then that's what I want to do. Because I can tell you about this this fun thing that happened to me, but if you turn this off and it doesn't help you in some way, then it feels a bit misused, maybe. So I'm just trying to be a good steward of the ears that choose to listen to whatever I have to say.
Okay.
That's it.
What are you throwing it to?
Luke.
Cool.
Take it away.
I'm going to misuse your time.
I can't help but take that personally.
Listen.
I just can't help but feel like that was a direct attack against me to not choose me after that.
Hey, listen.
Just because I called you out and brought this thing up, now I can't go next.
Patrick made a decision. Andrew, you're stepping on my time. I am wasting everybody's time now.
Oh my gosh. We're going to talk about time wasting?
Yeah.
Do you remember how this podcast started?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
So this week, one thing that happened today, actually, is I started teaching Milo how to play guitar, and that was cool because Jonas has been taking drum lessons, and he took piano lessons before, and then Milo's 7, and he's now he's always liked like holding the guitar. He had a little like toy guitar, and he's been playing it and like messing around, but now he's like, Dad, can you teach me like how to play? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so we played a little bit, and that was fun. So that was something that happened today that was really cool. Other than that, I watched 3 movies this weekend that I had just really behind on. The first one was one that I watched because I'd seen every single other one. I watched the Resident Evil like final chapter. Man, it's just all action and all bad acting. But it was entertaining. And then I watched...
Do you love action and bad acting?
Yeah, right.
Look no further than the final
it's cool
installment.
Because that was a stark contrast to the other 2 movies I watched. So I watched Moonlight. I finally got around to watching Moonlight.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's good. There's a reason it won Best Picture last year. It was really emotional as far... Like, I was watching it going... Like, there's parts in this movie where you wanna fight for this guy, and all you're doing is just watching things happen, and you're just like, man, I can't even like I've had a really good life so far, and I can't imagine half of the stuff that happened in that movie. But it's great. So if you haven't seen Moonlight, chances are you have seen it. But if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's fantastic. And then the third one I watched was The Lost City of Z. And that was
I just saw that.
Yeah, it was with.
Is it on HBO now?
No, I rented it. It might be on HBO. I have no idea. Okay. I'm gonna get his name wrong. Charlie. I forget his name from Sons of Anarchy. Charlie Hunnam. He's the main character, and then Robert Pattinson plays his like sidekick. And Sienna Miller is his wife, and then Tom Holland is his son. Later in the movie, yeah. And so this is about a Colonel Percival Fawcett who was he got hired or got sent by the British Army to be like their explorer, to kind of find like to do cartography and find the ways. Like he went to South America to find to map out a river, to go to like where it started and then map it out, so that they could have better maps and kind of know like the land that they controlled. And he finds a pottery and things from this civilization, and he kind of goes into like, we have to find the city. And so it's the story of kind of how his life evolved around that first encounter. And it's a really good portrayal of a man searching for something, and just those personal convictions that you get, that are hard to shake, no matter what your family says, no matter what your career says, no matter what outside people say. You have these convictions, and you just have to attack it because you know that something's there. And I won't give anything away, but it's a great movie, and it was really good acting. So
that was done by Amazon Studios.
Yes. Yep.
And it's gotten great everywhere I've seen. It's gotten amazing reviews, great reviews. I haven't seen the film yet. I've been planning on seeing it, and just I haven't got around to it yet. I will say, unfortunately, it's only made back about 55% of its budget.
Sure.
Which I hate to see, especially number one, because Amazon seems to be picking really great properties,
right?
And then also because the movie is reviewed so well. So I want, I really want to see in the movie space, I want to see Amazon and Netflix succeed.
Sure.
Because I want to see a lot of these films that wouldn't normally be made by a bigger studio get made.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm definitely going to see the film.
But yeah, go see it. It's really good. Or you don't have to really go anywhere. I'm sure you can just find it at your house and watch it. So, it's worth watching. That's my week. I have other cool things to talk about later. So.
Okay.
Take us away. Andrew.
So I'll round us out. Not a whole lot to talk about. A couple of exciting things. I have been to the movies, so much recently. I mean, I think I saw Baby Driver twice. I saw Spider-Man twice. I've seen. There's only 2 movies in the theater right now that I haven't seen yet. One is that I'm waiting to see, and the other one is. I guess there's 3. That I'm waiting to see, and then one of them is not, like, I have no desire to see. Like, I have no desire to see the new Transformers movie. Like, no desire. Tomorrow I'm going to see... What?
There are Doughboys.
I don't know what that means.
Just keep going. They ignore me.
I am excited tomorrow to go see... Friday night and Saturday night, I bought the first and second Planet of the Apes, the new ones, and we watched those. And so tomorrow, me and a few guys are going to see the new one, which I'm excited about. And then I'm going to see Cars 3. I'm going to see that probably this weekend. But then I'll have seen every movie in the theater except for Transformers.
We'll just go see it.
But this next weekend's going to be amazing, though.
Why?
What's next weekend?
We get Dunkirk. We get Valerian and the City of 1,000.
I do want to see Valerian.
Planets?
I have zero.
Yeah, 1,000
I have
planets.
zero excitement about seeing Dunkirk. I don't even know if I'll see it.
Are you?
I know you. I'm dead serious.
We'll talk about it next week.
Patrick, I think you're a victim of hype right now, honestly, because I feel the same as Andrew. Like it's gonna be beautiful to watch. I still have yet to see anything in the previews that's like, oh man, what happens?
Well, the majority of the early reviews are incredibly positive about the film.
Yeah,
it's getting
but
great reviews so far. I think it looks amazing. I understand what you're saying, and then I can just confidently say you're wrong.
Sure.
I'm genuinely excited to see it.
I have no beef with you being excited to see it. I just don't know that I'll spend my money on it. We'll see what happens. If I get bored in something, but that's like, I might see Transformers before I see Dunkirk.
Just you need to move on. You need to move on.
This, if you want to make Patrick mad, just say something that it doesn't agree with him. So we,
like
on top
Carolina
of that,
Reapers.
On top of that, I got a couple of things, and I'm excited to show you guys. So it's been everything in my power. I've known about this for the last 2 days, and it's been everything to not send it to you. I'm going to send you the link right now, and then I'm going to explain to everybody what it is that I got. So we're big fans. You've heard us talk on the show about Secret Hitler.
Yeah.
Secret Hitler is a great game. I'm not going to go over the whole game right now, but it's a secret identity game based in pre-World War II Germany. You're trying to keep, if you're a liberal or a fascist, if you are a liberal, you're trying to keep Hitler from coming into power. If you're a fascist, you want to get him into power. That's generally the idea, right?
Sure.
So go ahead and take a look at this link that I'm sending to you. They have come out with an official expansion to the game. Well, it's actually you replace pieces to the game, and it is you replace the fascists with Donald Trump's current administration. And it is all the artwork is done by the guy who did all the artwork. His name is where is he at? His name is Mike Schubert. So it matches the same stuff. Yeah. And it even says in the pack, it says new faces, same reliance on misinformation, and I can't understand what that word is, but it says as it comes with his prominent members of his administration as of 6/7/17. The Trump pack includes a bonus Mike Pence card suitable for the use in case of impeachment or resignation.
Wow.
It's only $5 to get these cards. So I bought them. So I'm excited to get them in. They're $5 plus like $3 or $4 of shipping.
I love the big, so just on the webpage separately, I love at the bottom, there's a big American flag in the center, and under it says Made in China.
Made in China, yeah. It's amazing to me. So political affiliation aside, it's very fun. It's a fun thing, and the illustrations are great. So if you're a fan of Secret Hitler, it's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? it's tongue in cheek anyway, and so just for it to play with that is amazing. So anyway, that was my week. A couple of other things, but for the most part, I'm excited to talk about my master category. So I think we'll go ahead and call Round the Table quits. And up next, we're going to do a master category. The master category section of every week is when we get to talk about the tokens we drew the week before, which give us the category. We pick our topics based on those categories. Now you're up to speed. Patrick?
Yeah, let's do it. Are you asking me?
Yeah, let's talk.
That was somehow underwhelming.
I think we've been recently.
I feel like it was whelming, just whelming.
Well, here's the deal. We've been starting with Luke recently because you've been consistently getting TV and film, and we typically end on a movie review, But this time we're just gonna mix it up.
Okay. No, that sounds great. So still TV and film.
Between the break, Andrew went and did 17 shots.
I'm so happy at the time of year it is because we're starting to get into some really great moving picture stuff. And, the big ones from this weekend would have been Planet of the Apes, which I have not seen yet. And certainly the Game of Thrones premiere was a big deal. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. But I feel very strongly that that community feels so strongly about it not being spoiled that I feel like it's just best to not risk it. Like I don't need to get a death threat.
You don't want to risk it for the biscuit if that's what you're getting at.
Who does? So that being said, I want to talk about the other awesome piece of entertainment that came out this weekend.
Transformers.
Which is The Big Sick, not Transformers at all. Thank God that wasn't in my theater. The Big Sick. So The Big Sick is a story about a new couple who are dealing with their differences in background and in culture, while also dealing with being in a new couple and then also transitioning into adulthood. So it's kind of a lot of things happening at one time. So it features Kumail, who you'll know from Silicon Valley. Yeah. And then the lead girl is Zoe Kazan, who I don't know. And I went and looked up her filmography, and I really don't recognize a lot of this stuff. It seems like she's done a lot of TV, but I actually wasn't aware of her before now. But basically, Kumail in a lot of ways plays a character you kind of expect. He's a comedian. He's working, in a big city, and it's kind of him and his buddies, and they're hitting the circuit every night, and then they're trying to get their big break. It would remind you a lot of the film Don't Think from last year. That again, very, very kind of similar thing, and it's all comedians and they're all doing basically versions of themselves. Like it all feels very familiar and very comfortable and very believable in that way. And so Kumail meets a girl during one of his sets, and this kind of turns into a relationship. Now, Kumail is from Pakistan, and Pakistan has arranged marriages, in addition to a lot of other kind of cultural obligations. And Zoe is a white American girl. And so there's, he doesn't tell his family about her. And then there's just a lot of stuff that goes, I won't go into detail. There's no reason to. But the point is, it deals with these kind of conflicting worldviews. And, how do you resolve having that relationship, but not losing your family in the process? And what does it look like to give up 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever people to take a chance on one person, which is, it seems like a big imbalance. Beyond that, which you'll know this from the previews, so this isn't surprising, not to mention the name of the film is The Big Sick, Emily gets very sick. She's in the hospital, she's in a coma, and we don't know what's going to happen to her. So these are kind of like all these ideas that you could very easily, and people already have, made entire films out of these individual ideas, are all kind of stacked together, and you're dealing with, frankly, a lot of heavy stuff and a lot of, again, conflicting worldviews at the same time. Now, the levity, the comedy throughout the movie, ends up being key to this being successful. Because how do you deal with making the decision to be cut off from your family, or thinking about your girlfriend dying and what that looks like, or leaving everyone to move away or whatever? How do you deal with all of these unless you have something like comedy, unless you have something kind of like pulling you back the other way? And so not only is that very important for the main character, but it also is incredibly important, I think, for the viewer to basically have a break, kind of. So I will say you don't ever, because of the personality of Kumail, you don't ever really have to deal with these raw emotions by themselves. You're always kind of given an out in some way because it's always going to be balanced with comedy. But I also think there's a lot of reality to it. I mean, it feels all the reactions people have and the way people immediately jump to their coping mechanism feels very authentic and genuine. So in the end, there's a cool thing you find out right in the credits, and I'm, of course, not going to spoil that. So anyway, all that being said, that gives you an idea of the film. Great watch. I mean, honestly, for me, this is a big A for a movie, or a 9 out of 10, or whatever scale we're using. I would easily watch it again. I really enjoyed the pacing. It's not, it feels like maybe it's like 15 minutes too long. You kind of get that feeling of like, yeah, we got to the point. Why is it still going? So there's a little bit of that, like right at the end, like you might check your watch, but at the same time, it still manages to be, like I said, like a 9 out of 10 for me. And I'm glad they have the comedy again to balance it out and give you a break from it. I will say that is the positive. The negative of it is a lot of the comedy feels a bit done. So the comedy wasn't the high point. The comedy is what made everything palatable and like became like the package it lived in. But at the same time, the really strong performance from I would say Ray Romano and Kumail, their performances are awesome, and I think their performances are really the star of this film. And gosh, I need to stop because I'm going to start to give something away. So I'm just going to stop there.
Yeah.
Great film. Absolutely worth a watch. Please check it out. It's definitely, maybe it's not a theater film in the sense that it's not some big epic. But at the same time, go watch it in a theater.
Not a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, it's not a summer blockbuster. I'm not sure that it's going to fare terribly well against what it's against right now. So go see it. Yeah, Transformers, Dunkirk, and Planet of the Apes. But go see it. Support good films. Support your local theater. And you're not going to walk away disappointed. And this is definitely a film that you can take a spouse to, a girlfriend or boyfriend. You could take a parent to. Like, it's a film that really anyone should see, and I think anyone that walks into it is going to benefit from it in some way. Either they're going to walk away seeing things in a bit different light, or it's going to basically reinforce good social habits and outlook. So yeah, great film. That is me for this week. Andrew, I just want you to know that I'm not upset with you, and that's the reason I want you to go next.
Oh, well, that's nice. So I got TV downstairs. It's all I just want everyone to know. Still, it's 4K.
You went upstairs too, right?
For anybody, I do. Yeah, in the loft is one of the loft. I just wanted people to know I have a TV. I got though, for the purposes of the show, I got toys and games for the second week in a row, and I actually am pretty excited about that because I got this game a long time ago. I say a long time ago, several months ago. And have not had a chance to play. It's one of those games that's kind of involved, or at least it looks very involved, and there's lots of punch-outs. And so it's going to require somebody who's dedicated enough to learn how to play it with you.
Yeah.
You just can't play it by yourself. But this game, I just got a chance to play finally for the first time last week, and I loved it. So it's a game called Smallworld. It's done by the Days of Wonder people. So Days of Wonder, they've done several, like, runaway blockbuster games, and not the least of which is Ticket to Ride, and all of the mini expansions that come along with Ticket to Ride. But this game is a totally unique and different kind of thing. So the purposes of the game, you have a world that is too small, go figure with the name, too small to inhabit all of the different races that are trying to occupy the land. And so you have, based on the number of players, it's a 2 to 5 players. I could be wrong about that. I think it's 2 to 5 players. Based on the number of players, there's a different board for it. So it comes with...
it's not like you expand one, it's like a fully different board.
It's a fully different board. So here's the board for 2 players.
Okay.
Flipped on the other side, it's a board for 3 players. I know it's on the same board, but you get more lands.
You can't play both boards at the same time, is what you're saying. You
can't play both boards at the same time. And then there's a much larger board for 4 and 5 players. Like 4, and then you flip it over and for 5 players.
Wow.
So anyway, it's pretty cool. The illustrations are just great. But there are so many different races with the base pack. So I'm taking it out right now. Each one of these little members of the trays represents a different race. Okay, so we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15
Master of math, everybody.
15 core races. And it comes in this really nice box. Like that's a nice...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's plastic.
That's plastic.
It's
yep.
nice
And
plastic.
all the
There's
tiles
clear and
inside are
black.
like... Yes. All the tiles inside are like a really nice thick cardboard as well, and you had to punch all of them out. But each race is signified by this this cardboard like
avatar
for like placard, placard
Yeah.
with an avatar on it. Each one has an innate ability to it, but then there's these modifying powers that come alongside it, and they all get shuffled up randomly and added. So every time you play, the game is totally different.
Cool.
So you might have a halfling like this, like the ones I just grabbed. I have an alchemist halfling. The halfling comes with specific traits and rules just by inherently being a halfling, and then the alchemist has specific stuff. So you get per turn with the alchemist, you get 2 additional victory tokens per turn,
and they're not very big. So you're holding up. It's like a 2x1 almost little card, and they're cut in such a way that they kind of stick together. So you don't have to worry about like having 4 a bunch of cards along the table in front of you.
Yeah, they're literally they don't snap together, but they fit together very nicely. So, but you shuffle up these powers and you shuffle up the races, and so it's always different. You know, the way that you do it. I'm not going to go into all the mechanics of the game because it can get a little involved. But essentially, the point of the game is to inhabit the most land for the longest period of time, because the way that you gain victory tokens or money and the currency in this game is by being a landowner.
Okay.
So that's really the quickest way of doing it. And unless you have a modifying card, you can only have 1 active race on the board at a time and 1 race that's in decline. And so you signify that your race is in decline by literally flipping it over. And if you can tell by looking, it goes gray. Okay, still there, but it sits in front of you. You no longer have access to their secret or to their special power unless their secret power or their special power enables you to use it while it's in decline.
Sure.
So there's so many different variables to it. And there are some races that you can continue to conquest after you've moved into decline. Like the ghouls, for instance, is one of those races. But it's just a really
How long is it going to take someone to learn these rules?
Okay, so not terribly long. We learned the rules and played half of the game in about an hour and 10 minutes. You can feasibly play a whole game in 45 minutes to an hour once you know what you're doing.
Sure.
So we broke it out
sense.
into 2 days. Like, we're gonna play tomorrow over lunch, and we're gonna play a full game of it. The number of turns that you play before the game ends is predetermined based on how many people are playing. So if there's just 2 people playing, you play 10 full turns. Like back to each person plays 10 turns, and there's a little crown that moves around a turn section.
Sure.
But then the more people that you have, the less turns you play. It keeps the gameplay more active and more.
Is it fun? I mean, I know that's a weird question.
No, it's a very valid question because Some games are really strategic. Some games are really fun. Very few games I feel like are both.
Right.
Like in my opinion, anyway. This game is very fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The artwork is great. Oh, here's the box cover. Sorry, I should show you that. And there will be links to this stuff in the show notes. The artwork is great. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The byline to the game is Small World. It's a world of laughter after all, but they put an S made out of blood in front of that, so it says it's a world of slaughter after all, which is it's just fun, fun wordplay.
Sure.
But the game is fun. Yeah, like
Slaughter. It's just fun.
Yeah, killing people is just amazing.
Sure, absolutely.
It's
'cause,
great. Like the game is fun. It's entertaining. It requires you to think 1 to 5 steps ahead. Like your strategy has to change as you go because as you use the races and they die off. Because you have to attack them with the other ones. As you die off and you start to stack your races, different races have different abilities, and your strategy has to change based on the abilities that come along with the race. You know what I mean? So it's fun. From my perspective, it's a lot of fun. It was worth the time, and I'm excited about it because one, this game is now I think pretty mainstream. The core box set is mainstream now enough that you can get it at Target.
Yeah.
Which to me, I figure if you can get it at Target, that's a pretty
Enough
mainstream
people
game.
are buying it. Yeah.
Right. It's very high up. It's very, very high up on Board Game Geek, like very highly rated and reviewed. And because of that, and it has the backing power of Days of Wonder, that kind of money behind it. There are several expansions, including Small World Underworld, which is a whole new base game that takes place under the world, and it's
Sure.
like all caverns and stuff like that. But you can get tons of expansions and new maps and new races and new powers. So it's a very well established game. You're not getting into this and having to wonder if there will ever be anything to add to it.
How much was it?
You can spend. I think the game was. Like I said, I bought it a long time ago. I want to say it was like 40 to 50.
Okay.
It was a minimal.
Pretty standard. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty standard entry
For the complexity
into it.
of what the game mechanics are, that's fairly standard. So
Sure, yeah, it's fairly standard. Plus, when you add in all the the abilities to expand it, it's a great buy in my opinion. If you want to take a little bit of time to learn it, it's complex enough. I'll say this: it's complex enough. This is the cheat sheet they give each player. Each player gets one of these 12 by 12 front and back cheat sheets that talks you through what each race does and what each special power does, so you know how to kind of actively work those things together. But go out, get this game. I endorse it. It's super fun. And whenever you guys come into town, we'll play it, and you guys will love it, I think.
Sounds good.
Small World. Luke, I think you're taking us home.
yeah. Okay. So it is the summer of VR, or so that's what Facebook and Oculus are trying to tell us, because they put everything on sale. So the Oculus bundle, the Oculus Rift bundle, was on sale now to the end of the summer. I don't know if there's a hard cutoff or not. I just saw that it was on sale.
Oh, so it's not just on Prime Day.
No, it's on sale
for
now.
6 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going on for 6 weeks.
So I picked one up. So I got an Oculus Rift. And man, okay, so I played a little VR a long time ago, and it wasn't quite there. It was like, oh, this will be cool at some point. Well, now it's cool. Man, it's just incredible. I don't know how to explain
Well,
it.
I'm sold.
It's it depends on what you're doing. So the initial setup, first of all, you have to have a computer that is capable of running something in VR. They have the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. They both have online computer capability tests that you can run to see if you're ready for VR. And it takes a decent computer, but it doesn't take as much as actually I thought it would to run something successfully in VR. So so setting it up, I sent you guys a picture of just this note that kind of get ready to jump in to VR. The way that they have it all packaged was just awesome. It comes the Rift, the headset, and it comes with an Xbox controller, and one sensor is in one box. It's got a nice cloth like handle, and then when you open it up, there's all these little compartments that open. It's all very matte finish plastic. It all feels really nice. And then the touch controllers are the exact same way. A lot of just really nice design that went into the packaging. And then you plug it in, and it takes you through like setting your sensors in the right spot, and then adjusting the strap of your VR headset and tilting it so that it's the right focus for where your eyes need it, for if you're nearsighted or farsighted, or if you have a skewed kind of whatever you need, you can adjust it, and it's very, very easy to do. It takes you through a whole setup of like connecting to controllers and everything. It was very, very simple, very hands-on, procedural. And then once you get in, the first thing that shows up, it takes you through a series of kind of like, what are some capabilities you can do. So one of them is you start out on this like moon-like planet, and you see like some spaceships fly over you, and so you instinctively like look and turn to like kind of follow them, and you see there's like the rest of the planet behind you, and then when you turn around, there's an alien standing in front of you, and it scared me. Like
that's
jumped.
the kind of jump scare stuff we literally just talked about last week.
But it wasn't. It was like a super nice, friendly alien. It wasn't like anything. Like he wasn't like aggressive. His arms weren't up. He was just like this really kind of dopey looking character, just standing there. And he like says like some little alien speak, and that's it. And it kind of like does a dissolve away. And then the next thing is you're on top of this like steampunk tower in this like steampunk city, and you can like step forward and look down, and you're like 100 stories up, and there's like like a handrail that you can kind of like go and
Did
like.
you get sweaty immediately?
Oh, I did. I got swayy. Like I didn't want to step forward and look, even though I know I'm standing in my basement and there's nothing that I can fall off of. I look and I'm like, oh man, that's high. Like it was crazy. The next thing is you're like standing in this museum hallway, and all of a sudden you hear like a boom, boom, and around the corner this huge T-Rex comes walking, and it like walks up to you and like sniffs, and then it like roars and like gets down in your face, and it's like it was awesome. So the whole immersion, and then it takes you to this you're in this camper. You wake up in this camper, and this little robot. There's like you push down a cassette door, like a cassette player door, and this robot turns on. It takes you through basically getting you acclimated to how to use the touch controllers, what different buttons do to like grab, and essentially you're grabbing like these little like 8-track cassettes, and you put them in this 3D printer, and it like one prints like a rattle like sound maker and a bell, and so you can like do the touch controllers to make some music. There's a rocket like that you grab, and you pull a tab, and it like shoots off and flies through the RV. And then there's one that like prints a gun, and then you can pull this gun up and shoot like these pixelated like bullseyes that float across, and it's just a really awesome like demo.
I've been told that's the best part.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's what I have shown everybody that I've shown it to so far. It's like it's a very, very good acclimation to the touch controls and to like looking around with your headset. There's a part in there where you can pick up a bouncy ball, and just like for me, I know I'm a gamer, so maybe it was a little easier for me. But it felt very natural, like the movements I did to go and pick the ball up off the counter and then throw it, and it bounced. Like it felt very, very natural. And it was for a minute I kind of forgot I was in VR. Like it just felt like I was really doing that. So I'm already impressed, and then I get into some of the actual games that are available. A lot of them are free if you purchase the bundle with the touch controllers. I think right now you get a game called Valkyrie, which is like a space dogfighting combat game, where you're flying spaceships and shooting down other alien spaceships. It's really fun. The graphics on that are decent, but it still it feels a little dated for like. I think it's great for VR, but if it was just a console like flying sim shooter, it would feel
Feels
a little
like
bit behind.
Nintendo 64 Skyfox.
It's better than that. It's way better than that, but it feels like maybe PS3 kind of graphics. So like not perfect. Not like the console quality we have now. And then, so I'm saying all of this, and I know I had art and design. So there's a game called Lucky's Tale, which is like a side-scroller platformer game where you're just this fox and you're just jumping around, hitting these boxes and getting coins. You're standing at the side of like the level, and you're kind of tracking with Lucky as he goes through the level. And the way that the camera works and the way you're when you move your head, you look up and down the level, and you're controlling him with the controller, just like a joystick to move him and an A button to jump. But the way that you can move and lean in and look left and right in a side-scrolling like platformer game is such a weird experience for anybody who's ever played like a platformer. It's awesome and completely strange. And if you try it, you'll understand what I mean. It's not like disorienting or anything. It's just weird being in a side-scrolling platformer.
Yeah.
So all of that, the Rift is awesome. So the other two big applications that came for free with it were Quill and Medium. And Quill is a drawing application. So you're in 3D space, and you can use your hand, your touch controller, to draw. And whatever you draw, so if you draw, I tried to draw a circle, and if you aren't like level in the way you draw a circle, you will draw a spiral. And then you can turn it and look at it in 3D space. You can look at your drawing. You can kind of go in, and there's they have some demos of like artists that they have had create stuff in 3D space. And you basically are stepping into these paintings, and it's completely amazing. You can see like every brush stroke, and you can go in and like kind of go behind the layers and see like where it started from and what they built upon. It's a completely different way to look at illustration. And it's super, super awesome. And then the other one was Medium, and that is a sculpting application. So you basically, you're in this 3D space, you get a blob of clay essentially, and you can add to it and extrude shapes or take shape away and make indentations. And then you have the access to all these sculpting tools, whether it's shaping it or shaving it down or cutting it. And you basically can do 3D modeling inside of 3D space and kind of walk around like you're actually sculpting something, with your hands, and see it without having to worry about the mess of clay or the mess of paint or the mess of just a work area. Now, I will say that I think there will be a little bit of a learning curve if you are used to traditional sculpting, going from that to the touch controllers. But if you are any kind of, have done any kind of like electronic interfacing or are familiar with any kind of like a stylus or any video gaming, like I said, to me, it came very natural. And I'm seeing, I know I'm probably a little bit behind and there's a lot of people doing this now, but the capabilities of 3D sculpting of maybe what we could see now with VR is just, I mean, to me, it was like very inspiring and very like intimidating at the same time, because you see, you kind of see all your shortcomings digitally, the good part is you're not ruining a piece by messing something up, and you can take a little bit of that like hurt out if you've ever been like sculpting anything and you make a mistake and kind of have to like take a piece off and start over. This you can just essentially Command Z and then you're back to it, and it's really 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 awesome. But yeah, so I guess it's just amazing kind of like technology time we're living in, where illustration and sculpting can be in 3D space, and you can actually like kind of step into these pieces that you're creating, because like ZBrush and Maya, those are pretty common 3D sculpting things, but now with the ability to be in virtual reality and kind of be in there with it, it's a whole new world for artists and sculptors. So
The future of VR is very bright. I know that Apple's VR toolkit comes out in October or something like that,
Sure.
October, November, and next year not that it isn't now. Next year it's going to explode. And then the Oculus, they're releasing a $200 self-contained headset.
Yeah.
I think later this year as well. So as far as the Rift goes, that price lasts for like 5 more weeks. After that, it is going to go back up to what will be its permanent price.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to sit there for the foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
if you want a Rift, you really need to jump on it, within the next month,
Yeah.
give or take. So man, I just can't wait. I had a buddy tell me I could come try one out on Friday. Unfortunately, he lied, and so I didn't get to. But allegedly tomorrow, I will have my opportunity, and then I
look
can
forward to your
then
thoughts. For sure.
rave about it, I'm sure. But everybody knows I play X-Plane, do the flight simulator.
Yeah.
It is compatible, so you can actually wear the headset
Nice.
and look around and move around your cockpit and like fly your plane.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's supposed to be insane, and I just cannot wait.
Sweet.
I had a chance to do it. Christmas Rodriguez has one, and I got to do all the scenarios that you just talked about, and that alien scared the crap out of me too. Not because he was scary, but because he was there.
Right.
But he had some additional stuff that was intended to be scary.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that was like there's like some like you explore like this haunted castle kind of thing.
No. Hard pass.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was. And
Well, I remember
like that
doing
stuff.
the VR with you of Resident Evil at San Diego Comic-Con. You were genuinely scared.
It was terrifying.
And I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way I could ever do this.
Yeah.
But yeah. Did
Yeah,
you play
so,
Lucky's Tale? Did you try that yet? The
No.
side scroll. I instantly thought of you when I was playing. I was like, Andrew would love this. So
No, I just did like all of like the scenario type stuff.
gotcha. Okay.
There's like a river rafting thing I think that I tried or something like that. But anyway, all right. So I think that's it for this episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not missing anybody.
Absolutely. Hey, can I give a shout out to 2 of our community members?
Sure.
Yes, go ahead. Do it now.
B-Pair and Paper Gizmo. Both of them have posted work they've done from the coloring book. So B-Pair actually colored a post or colored the illustration from Jetpacks and Roller Skates. Looks fantastic. You can see that on her Instagram. And then Paper Gizmo, actually the same illustration, cut it out and did it in papercraft. And
Nice.
it looks really cool. It's on his Instagram. So, man, if you have a coloring book, post your stuff. If you don't have a coloring book, I think we have like 10 of them left.
Yeah. pretty easy
So
to get
hit us
at
up.
this point.
Yeah, I'm starting to see more and more of the work being done, and it's super super fun. All right, did you see Ryan Walker's work? I think he's the guy that I gave one to, the artist that I gave one to. I think he's already like posted 2 or 3 of his collaborations. He did one with he played around with Allison Lassiter's page. I know for sure. I believe he started doing one with Arsenal Handicrafts work. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just go check it out. Anyway,
What's his username?
I'll send you a link to him.
Actually, now that you say that, I did see, the Uncle Red.
Yes, the Uncle Red. Yeah, that's Ryan.
I did see his Allison Lassiter piece. Now that you said that, that's another great one where he actually added characters onto her piece. And it looks great. And it looks like he's also played around with the Arsenal Handicraft one as well. Yeah, super cool stuff.
So, go ahead and do that. You can find that on mof1podcast.com, where you can also find show notes and links to all the stuff that we talked about in this episode. We talked about a lot of fun stuff. Go and buy some of the stuff that we've talked about. Go check out the stuff that we've talked about. It's all cool stuff. Go check it out there. Also, you can find an archive of people who are insanely talented and super cool. mof1podcast.com/archive. You want to go to iTunes and subscribe to the show, because this week we have an incredible guest. It's going to be a little bit of a different episode for us, bringing serious knowledge to your ears. So check that out, and the easiest way to not forget about it is to subscribe. After you subscribe, Patrick, I feel like maybe there's something else that you would maybe want to do.
Well, you would be a silly person to not take the time to rate and review the show. That's right. Just take a minute, 2, 3, 4, and tell us how you feel. Leave a review, 5 stars. Of course, is preferable. And then whatever you write, good, bad, and different, we will read it on the show on our Tuesday episode. We don't have any new ones today, but I'm sure next week you who are listening will have left us one that we can read. It'd be awesome to read out 4 or 5. Also, if you're in another country and you leave a review, let us know, because when we log into iTunes, unless we specify another country, we only see reviews from America. And so we know we have people listening in, Africa and, London and Australia and all these places.
Russia.
Let us know if you leave a review. That way we can go find it. We can dig it up, and then again we can talk about it on the air.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to mention. Oh, if you want to support the show financially, go to patreon.com/mof1podcast. You can become a patron for as little as $1. That helps a ton. But more helps more tons. You can become a blooper level patron for $5, and you get an extra episode at least every month, and access to our patron only Slack channel, and early access to some information and some cool stuff going on. So you want to do that. It's going to be super helpful to us. If you like what we're doing, just throw a couple bucks in the old, proverbial bucket. Other than that, support by just being a part of the Slack channel. Be a part of the conversation. Go to mof1podcast.com/Slack. Hit us up on mof1 podcast on all the different social medias. We just want to hear from you. Be a part of this conversation. But I think for now, we're going to get out of here. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Luke.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to your butt.
The master category chart.
What?
Oh, my abs hurt from laughing at that. Ah, I did not mean to say shart.
Really?
For the record.
Really?
Yeah. All right. I was gonna say section, and I was gonna say part, and it came out shart. Okay.